From Eden to the Flood, the First Generations of Man. Part 3, The Legacy of Seth and the Growth of Mankind. Genesis 4:25-26, KJV. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, and called his name Seth. For God, said she, hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. And to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began men to call upon the name of the Lord. After the tragedy of Abel's murder and Cain's rebellion, God raised up another line through Seth. Eve herself acknowledged this. Seth was appointed in place of Abel. The promise of Genesis 3:15, the coming seed who would crush the serpent, would not be lost even though Abel was slain. God always preserves a remnant through which his purpose continues. Through Seth's line, a spiritual distinction began to form. Scripture says, "Then began men to call upon the name of the Lord." This was more than just speaking his name. It was worship, prayer, and recognition of God's authority. Where Cain's descendants built cities, forged tools, and pursued worldly culture, Genesis 4:17-22, Seth's line turned their hearts toward heaven. Here we see the two paths of mankind, the way of the flesh and the way of faith. As generations unfolded, the earth rapidly filled. With lifespans reaching 800-900 years, even one couple could have hundreds of descendants. By simple multiplication, entire cities and nations could arise within a few centuries. This explains why by the time of Noah, the world was already teeming with people and filled with violence. Population growth was not slow but exponential. In this growth we see both God's blessing and man's responsibility. He had said, "Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth." Genesis 1:28. Mankind fulfilled the command physically, but spiritually there was a divide. Some multiplied rebellion, others multiplied righteousness. Seth's line carried the testimony of faith, ultimately leading to Noah, who found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Genesis 6:8. The lesson is clear. Physical growth without spiritual foundation only multiplies corruption. But when men call upon the Lord, they leave behind a legacy of faith that endures. Seth's seed shows us that God always preserves a line of truth, even in a world rushing toward judgment.